All right. It is the day after the election, and nobody really knows anything at all yet on who's going to win, except one thing, and that Joe Jorgensen did horrible. And I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. When it's all said and done, Joe Jorgensen is going to come in with 1.1% of the votes. 1.1, yeah, 1.1% is what she's going to, her total, which is down a lot from Gary Johnson in 2016, who got 3.8, which was the most ever by a libertarian. And all you people out there saying, "Oh, Joe Jorgensen's going to break 5%. This is going to be the best time, best. This is going to be the best a libertarian candidate's ever going to do. We're going to be on gain ballot access, automatic ballot access." There's a lot of excitement. I don't know, why are you so negative? Yeah, I told you so. She was not a good candidate. She ran a horrible campaign. She alienated half of her base by pandering to the woke left. And this is what happens. This is it. So, yeah, I told you so. And anybody who thought that she would be a good candidate, like, thought that she was a good candidate, she wasn't. Like, no, like, the votes show that. She had a horrible turnout. Libertarians had a horrible turnout as far as president goes. And there's no reason for it, because this presidential election was basically the same as the 2016 presidential election. If you would have had a decent candidate, you would have done better than Gary Johnson did. And Gary Johnson wasn't a good candidate. I voted for Gary. Like, looking back, I probably wouldn't have voted for Gary Johnson in 2016 because I have a lot of the same issues with him. But he had name recognition. He wasn't exciting, but I mean, he was somewhat charismatic in his own little quirky way. He wasn't boring. I wouldn't call him charismatic, but he wasn't boring. He was kind of quirky and weird. And but Joe Jorgensen had a and he had a bland messaging is what Gary Johnson had. Joe Jorgensen had bland message was bland, and then had bland messaging, and then campaigned towards the woke left, which pisses off half the country, including libertarians. And I've talked about before, the most likely people who are to gain votes outside of libertarianism, which isn't that the whole point, is try to convince people to be a libertarian and get votes. The people who are most likely to vote for you are disenfranchised conservatives who don't like Donald Trump. But by playing this woke game, you alienated them, alienated half of your base already that would vote for you, and this is predictably what we got, and it's so delicious. Oh, I love it so much. Hopefully, the LP and takes this and learns a lesson that you don't go woke. Go woke, you go broke. And hopefully they take that lesson and don't alienate their base. I mean, they're not. They're like the left. They're not going to fucking learn anything. They're going to double down on this next time. So that's just what's going to happen. But yeah, it's delicious. And I did see on Twitter today that people want in 2020, yeah, 2024, they're wanting uh, Joe um, Joe Jorgensen and Justin Amash as like the ticket for the Libertarian Party. It's like, how much more do we need to see from Joe Jorgensen? No, she's fucking bad at this. She was already a VP candidate. How'd they do? She was the head of the ticket this time. Did fucking horrible. Worst one, like, the last two elections both outdid her. I mean, I have problems with Justin Amash, but as far as you want to get recognition, Justin Amash makes sense. I have issues with him. It's mainly marketing. Um, I've talked about Justin Amash. I think he has a really good voting record. It's just his rhetoric is more like he's more known for being anti-Trump than actually a libertarian, which is bad for marketing when you're trying to get some, like, Trump supporters should be in the wheelhouse for libertarians too. They should be. We could gain some of them. So yeah, that's my thought on Justin Amash. I don't know if he's going to be. I don't even know if he's going to run next time. If he does, he would be the prohibited favorite to get the nomination in 2024, just like he was before he dropped out this time. But let's just remember how bad he was before we say, oh, we need Justin Amash. He will get media attention because he is a former congressman. But let's remember how bad he was in interviews with Chuck Todd, but when he was just announced his running before he dropped out. So let's just remember that. He didn't perform well he wasn't a good messenger either. I like him. I thought he was a very good congressman. I wish he was still in Congress. I think his messaging's bad. I think he does have Trump derangement syndrome too much. Maybe that goes away if Trump ends up losing. But, yeah, that's my thought. Now, I am going to talk a little bit about the presidential election. Overall, I don't know. Biden's winning right now. I don't know if he's going to win. It's all going to go out in the courts. Who knows? But Republicans are going to keep the Senate. And honestly, I think that Republicans keeping the Senate, but Joe Biden getting the presidency might actually be what's best. Because there'll be a check against any radical thing Joe Biden wants to do by having the Senate there. Plus, they will, maybe Republicans will actually pretend to be fiscally conservative again and not want to spend a whole bunch of money because they're opposing someone. When Republicans are in power, they spend just like Democrats. When it's split, they don't spend any money. That might actually be what's best. The one problem if this does happen is that I'm afraid the Republican Party might revert back to being the party of Dick Cheney, John McCain, and George W. Bush, which will be awful. Then obviously Joe Biden's ready to go to war with anybody. He's a neoliberal, he's a neoliberal establishment. Then if the Republican establishment Senate gets control, we could get more wars in Syria, ramp up the war in Syria, put pressure on, try to go to war in Russia and all this other stuff. So that's my one fear. If the Republicans keep the Senate and Joe Biden wins, because that's bad. We need to end these wars, and I don't want the neocons taking back control of the Republican Party. So that is my one downfall, but they will actually pretend to be physically conservative while they're trying to oppose Medicare for all or anything else that Joe Biden pushes through. So that's my thoughts on the election so far, and really I just made this video to rub it in about how I was right about Jo Jorgensen. Eat crow. Everybody who was passionate about her saying she's going to break 5% and we're going to be automatic ballot access. No, you were wrong. Ha ha ha. Now let's fix the Libertarian Party so we can actually be a viable party. Alright, that's it. That's all I got to say. I'll do a podcast later, talk a little bit about the election. Hopefully not much, but more updates. Hopefully, next time I do the podcast, it's hopefully not a political one. But that's it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at jcaveman93. Parler at jcaveman93 too. Follow the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. iTunes, Google, Spotify. It's called Lost in the Cave. If you listen to on iTunes, give us a 5-star review. It helps us out with the rankings. That's about it. Yeah, so I will see y'all next time. Peace.